Like pretty much everything on TV right now, Karl Boyes and I are zooming in for April's Off the Rail. Hello and welcome to April's Off the Rail. Emily Frazer and Jeremy Jones to come, but first live from his living room in Blackpool. Hello, Karl Boyes.
Hello, partner. How are we doing?
I'm doing well, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just a little bit concerned about your backdrop at the moment.
Well, you've got an old Moscone Cup flag going on there by the looks of it, but I didn't have anything like that.
Yeah, well, you told me you've got a good backdrop, so I've nailed the flag to my living room wall.
Well, for now, you can't see how this looks, but when this goes out, you'll see that it does actually look quite good.
Right, that's all right then.
Yeah, I'll promise you that. So tell us about the flag. That's your first Moscone Cup, right?
2010, that Johan had a flag made. I think every year the captains do something like that. I'm not well. Yeah, I think Marcus did it as well. Yeah, so yeah, that was the flag he had made, and it got took everywhere with us, and it was over the arena, and he gave it me after the event, and it's been in a drawer for 10 years. 10 years, wow. So as you see now, it's behind me. I think that's quite a nice job I've done.
So if it's captain's job to get a flag, is that yours or Alex's duty for December?
I'm going to just bring this, but save some money, pal.
Well, what flags have you got on there? Can we try and pick the team based on who's on there? So we've got Germany, that's all right. We'll get Filler in. You got Niels.
We've got Finland. Petri, Mika. Can he come
Casper.
back? Casper, yeah, good shout.
It's looking good for those guys. Don't see any Russian flags on there.
No, sorry, Fedo, you're done, mate.
Well, unless we can raise some money to get Karl to get a proper flag, it looks like we've got the Moscone Cup team.
We'll sort of flag, don't worry.
Well, we promised that the off-the-rail standards wouldn't slip in April, but I feel like we've already started on a bit of a low, so let's pick it up a little bit. Of course, we should have been doing this month's off-the-rail from the US Open in Las Vegas. That should have finished last week. Of course, didn't happen for obvious reasons. We've missed a few big tournaments recently, Karl. It's been a shame.
Yeah, real shame. Obviously, as you said, US Open, World Pool Masters, obviously Matchroom. You know, they have 5 events now. And with the Masters and the US Open being singles events, it's a great time to see the European players and, you know, get a feel of what's going on. And, you know, we would have been kind of like halfway through the pool season, if you like, in terms of majors. So it's a shame, but I suppose at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot, you know, worse things going on right now than a pool tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing is more important than everybody's health, everybody's safety, so things can wait. Of course, one of the other things that's had to wait is, since you've been appointed vice-captain to Alex Laley, you two haven't actually seen each other face-to-face, have you?
No, World Pool Masters was going to be the first time we was, you know, in each other's company, so that was where we could obviously sit down, you know, have a bit of food, a couple of beers, and really, you know, put the plan together and kind of. Obviously, he's the captain. I'm the vice captain, so you know, I kind of wanted to know what did you want me to do, type thing. You know, do you want to hear what I've got to say, or you know, am I taking your lead? But obviously, we've not had a chance to meet up, so there's been a few phone calls now, and you know, we sort of know where we're at, but we're still waiting on as the final type, you know, format that we're going to have, because you know, it doesn't look like there's going to be any individual pool tournaments this year. You would think, the way it's looking.
Yeah, at the moment there's only been around about a quarter of the ranking schedule played, but from what we've seen already, obviously we've got Fedor Gorst as the world champion, Jason Shaw won the international, and he's won the Euro Tour, so there are some players who were at least in form before this break came.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's all, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. We've said that, but let's just say there's no individual tournaments. You know, even the Moscone could be in doubt. We just don't know. But let's just say, you know, we fast forward to the Moscone and it goes ahead. You know, it would be very hard to kind of like just say, right, there's 5 wildcards. You know, you're going to have to look at the rankings and be fair. But from a personal, selfish point of view, I'd like to just have the wildcards, to be honest, because I think sometimes with the rankings, it gives European players that opportunity to get into the team, which is good. But from a captain's point of view and wanting to win, it can sometimes be bad because, you know, some of the guys could qualify and they've never played in a matchroom event. And then you get thrown in the Moscone straight into the deep end, you know, and I would say probably 80–90% of pool players have not played in front of like 2,000–3,000 screaming fans. You know, we're used to playing in front of like a man and his dog watching, really. So it's a completely different pressure. And, you know, you could sort of see that with Alex Kazakis the last couple of years. You know, he's not played anywhere near the type of player he is and how he does in the singles events. But, you know, anyone can make mistakes in the Moscone. And, you know, it's a tough event to play in. And, as I said, I just think it'd be nice to just have wild cards and, you know, handpick who you want in the team, really.
Of course, that would be ideal for a European captain, especially coming off the back of 2 defeats. It's important for Europe to get back to winning ways soon, because we saw with America, when that run of defeats sets in, it can be hard to turn that around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, really, because Europe, sort of from 2006, you know, they lost one cup and I think they drew one, didn't they? It was the draw in 2006. I think 2006 they drew. And Europe certainly went on one, didn't we? We won loads, and you kind of felt, yeah, even though we was winning and we had strong teams, you did feel like America was under par, to be fair, as well. The last couple of years, you can certainly see that, you know, they finally got 5 players now. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, Shane, you know, he's Mr. America, Mr. American pool, and he always had a nightmare in the cup. But I think now he knows he can rely on some of the other guys. You know, he seems to play a lot better as well. So I think European team-wise probably dipped only a tiny bit, and I think America have shot up a little bit, and probably that's why the results have been the way they are.
So if you're a player right now and you don't know when the next tournament's going to come, if you're one of those who's lucky enough to have access to a table, would you personally be practicing a little bit, trying to keep in stroke, or would you just leave your cue alone for the time being?
It's a difficult one because, I mean, everybody's different. I was quite a lazy player anyway when I played. I didn't really play a lot. I never really enjoyed playing as such, but some of the guys enjoyed playing. So maybe, I don't think it's a case of they're going to be playing and doing intense drills and, you know, working on things that they're trying to correct maybe from, you know, previous tournaments. If they made a few safety errors or wasn't breaking too good or something like that, you can go away and work on that. But I just think, what's the point in sort of practicing like that? Maybe play for a bit of fun, but everyone's on lockdown, so you're playing on your own, right?
Of course, well, like you say, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how the rest of the year is going to unfold. There might be some news on Moscone Cup coming soon. We'll be speaking to Emily Frazer later on Off the Rail. And in just a moment, I'll be joined by the American captain, Jeremy Jones. Carl, have you got a message for JJ?
Yeah, I hope you're doing well, pal. I hope things over there you know, good. I'll save the smack talk for a little while. I think there's a few more serious things going on at the moment, so just stay safe, pal.
Well, Carl, stay safe for yourself. Good to speak to you, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon. But now we can cross over to Texas, where we're joined by the Team USA captain, Jeremy Jones. Jeremy, how are you?
Good, Nick. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. What's the situation in Texas right now?
Not as much changing daily like it was not long ago, but a few things changed. They opened some golf courses up. You and I had talked about that a little bit. Schools are suspended. Trying to open some retail businesses to, you know, some curbside business, trying to get the economy flow going back. But beautiful weather here in Texas. It's a shame that everyone's a little locked inside, but I think everyone's doing most of the right thing.
It is, of course. We should have seen you just last week for the US Open. It was a shame that we couldn't do that, but hopefully we'll have a US Open soon. Did you manage to chat to any of the players?
Yeah, I've been in contact. We have a group messenger, obviously, but yeah, personally, I keep in contact with Skylar a lot. Joey and I, we have a lot of common interest with the golf and different things. But yeah, he had a beautiful baby boy last week, so now just 9 days old, I think. But yeah, I'm missing that US Open for sure.
And of course, it was a chance for some of the players to maybe make a point to you, because new captain, new vice captain with Joey. I'm sure some guys who weren't on the team would have liked to maybe proven a point at events like the World 10 Ball and the US Open.
Yeah, we had some guys that have been working the last couple of years that haven't been on the team that are really starting to show some results at the international, and then followed up with the Diamond Vegas Open, and then the World 10 Ball was supposed to be played. Of course, everyone was looking to shine this past week at the U.S. Open, myself included, actually. One of the few times I was going to get to play this year, but I'm sure we'll get it made up. And from the looks of things on the social media, most of the guys are trying to stay in stroke, so that's a good thing.
Well, Jeremy, as we didn't see you at the World Pool Masters and the US Open, it's actually the first time we've spoken to you on Off the Rail since you were appointed as the captain. So just tell us how that felt to get the promotion from vice captain to captain.
Well, it's pretty incredible. I kind of felt like it might happen, or I had a chance at least, but looking back from where all this started a few years ago, just getting a call from Johan to help the team, pretty incredible stuff. Really I'd said it in an interview, I think last week, with some other people that pretty humble person overall, but I mean, occasionally I still kind of like, oh, I'm kind of the man for a little while here. So some pressure with it, of course, but I'm looking forward to it.
Those last 2 years you've had as vice captain have obviously been 2 big winning years for Team USA. How did they compare for you as vice captain compared to when you played on winning teams?
Well, I think different for sure, obviously. I think I felt more stress as a captain than I did playing. I think more satisfaction than anything, even more so than playing. I mean, I had some great memories playing, that's for sure. I actually looked it up not long ago, just looked over some scores and different things that brought back some memories from some years, but pretty incredible. Of course, we kind of start out as a player, Nick, so we kind of always want to play, right? But that transition is nice, and I'd mentioned it also last week that as a captain, being able to go in and win with 2 different teams after so many people throughout the world kind of thought U.S. had no chance, that's pretty sweet satisfaction.
So what's the plan this year? Are you going to try and build on what you'd already achieved with Johan?
Well, just like having a different team, got to look at a bunch of different things. I think the best effect is to apply my touch and Joey's touch as an assistant. We've talked about it many times. Kind of what we see set for the guys we want to train with that were on the team already, and then also some guys that we're looking forward to working with outside the team. But yeah, I learned a lot from Johan. I think I learned a lot from the guys the last couple of years, which is probably going to make me apply myself even better, I guess.
You mentioned talking and working with, so I'll say that again. You mentioned working with some players from outside of the team. For the guys who haven't been on the team in the last couple of years, difficult for them with no tournaments to prove something to yourself and Joey. So what will you be looking for from those guys?
Well, constant play is, of course. The one good thing about working with them the last couple of years and being around them, being fortunate enough to be at so many tournaments, even though not playing, is you can tell the guys that are working hard. You can tell the guys that are going to keep working hard. Of course, whenever we get back rolling, when the tournaments get back going, who knows what's going to happen exactly with the rankings just yet, but probably, look to see how they're performing right away, even though it may not be the biggest events to start with. Who's taking it seriously, and who's just, like I said, constantly working.
Have you been able to speak to any of the players at all during this time? Have you been keeping in touch with the team?
Oh, yeah. And kept in touch with the team from this past year, of course, a lot. Of course, Corey Dewar, talked to him a little bit, kind of making sure guys are safe also more than anything, and not going stir crazy, seeing if I can help them in any way. Kept in contact with Chris Robinson some, reached out to Max Everly a few times. And just the normal thing with some other guys that are friends of mine that, I hope this, a lot of guys were motivated to get this year starting there in Las Vegas. And, the pandemic has thrown a damper in those things, but, just trying to keep their hopes high and the morale high, I guess you might say.
And you've brought Joey Gray on as your vice captain. Just tell us a little bit about Joey and why you gave him that role.
Well, I've known Joey a long time, and I know he's a pure guy. He's going to evaluate before he just reaches out there and says something, which I kind of like. I like that thinking before you speak. We're dealing with a lot of professionals, so I don't think sensitive should be much of an issue as far, I think not only that, building a relationship the last couple of years with the guys, we can be real honest with them, which I think Joey is a guy that's going to go down that route, and he's a hard worker, which is probably the one asterisk that really stood out as far as Joey. And, I went through a lot of names whenever I thought about assistant captain. I went through, who's going to have the time to dedicate this, who will realize this is going to motivate and push their career. And so I think there were a lot of factors, but I think, I just went back to my gut, and my gut told me Joey Gray, and I was thankful he accepted.
What's Joey like as a personality? Do you think you two will complement each other in the way? Because I got the impression that yourself and Johan were sometimes different personalities, but that really worked for the team.
Yeah, you don't want somebody the same, that's for sure. I think just like we talked about the European captains, I think that those are a great combination, that you want two different individuals, but two guys that can work together really well. Meaning, nothing wrong with questioning. If you're Joey, nothing wrong with questioning what I'm saying, right? It's just a matter of we don't want to show any chinks in the armor, I guess. So it's the right time to question something. And then sometimes the right time is to just blurt it out. And, that happened with Johan and I a couple times, where there was a little bit of a bridge, I think, with Johan and the Americans a little bit. And, I had to step in and say, hey, Johan, it's a little different situation here, than maybe what you're used to. I think that we don't have to go over that bridge very often with Joey. Joey knows a lot of the guys really well. And that was another thing that I was very happy about, that when I contacted the core of the team, what you might think is the core of the team, they were all thumbs up when it came to Joey Gray.
One of the things when you were the vice captain, Jeremy, again, from the outside, it looked like you were almost the link between Johan and the players. Will you have to step away from that a little bit this year and become less the players' friend a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, especially I think the way Joey and I are looking at trying to do things with the guys. I think we're doing Johan was a little bit more of a general training at times, which is going to be a little bit part of what we're going to do, but we really want to get personalized with each player. Joey and I thought about that. I think we can really help each player individually. So, I'm going to ask a lot of the guys. The good thing is most of them are really, really hard workers. And they trust me. I think they trust me. So I'm not one here to make a masterpiece. Those guys are a masterpiece already. Just trying to, get them cleaned up some.
I guess that's a little bit difficult to do right now because you can't see the players, but will you be having video sessions with them to help them along?
Yeah, Shane, once that lake runs out of fish, I'm sure he'll get back in front of a pool table. But, he's a hard worker. It's a little unfortunate for Sky that he doesn't have a pool table so easy access there in Lubbock. But he's got a brand new baby that's keeping him smiles from ear to ear. So I'm not too worried about him. He's a young man. He'll get back and stroke. Billy and Tyler both have tables. Justin has access to a table. So, yeah, we'll – if this continues on where we aren't allowed to go anywhere, we'll definitely have to do some training online.
Well, Jeremy, great to hear from you. Great to catch up with you. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you very soon.
Yeah, you too, Nick, and enjoy what you can.
And from Jeremy to Matchroom Pool COO Emily Frazer. Emily, already the World Pool Masters and US Open have been postponed. This week news that the World Cup of Pool and World Pool Championship will take place later than planned. So, what's the latest?
Lots of postponements and rescheduling happening at the moment, Nick, across Matchroom Pool. We started off with the World Pool Masters, shortly followed by the US Open, World Cup of Pool, and now the World Pool Championship. And what we're trying to do really is just take each day as it comes. We're obviously in a very uncertain situation, very much led by government decisions and obviously the current situation. So there's no point rushing into anything right now. But the calendar is getting super, super heavy in the second part of this year. And it's just important that we find the right dates and we don't rush into new dates as such, because, you know, we can't even clash with our own Matchroom events. There's a team of us that is so small that we can't hold a basketball event at the same time that we hold the US Open or the World Pool Championship. So we still have quite a big umbrella to think about. Then take the actual Matchroom aside, you've also got the broadcaster availability, you've got venue availability. Somewhere like Mandalay Bay, they are just absolutely chock-a-block with events postponing, rescheduling. Such a prestigious venue like that, and we only deal with prestigious venues. So then you've got that availability, but then also the sporting calendar within pool. You know, we have an email chain as such between all of us pool promoters, just discussing what dates we've got and what we're going to be rescheduling, because we don't want to clash, because it's not good for the pool players, it's not good for the fans. We accept that it's going to happen, it is going to happen. And that leads me to the World Pool Championship. There is no point in rushing into that event into the second half of this year. October, November, December is becoming extremely, extremely busy. Let's not rush the most prestigious event in the pool calendar. It is the World Pool Championship. And what we should be doing is finding the right dates for it, the right venue, and doing it properly. It's our first year of doing it. And that's what we did with the US Open. And we'll follow that with the World Pool Championship. So that is why we've moved it into January 2021. It still sits nicely at the top of the year. It starts the rankings. It's in a good position. Whether we change and we sit with October and we keep October moving forward, or whether we sit with January, we don't know. This situation has happened and we're going to roll with it. But we're going to try and come up with the best scenario out of obviously the situation that we're in. But there is a lot of rescheduling. It's kind of just becoming a repeated thing now. But obviously the most important thing is the health and safety of everyone that is involved in these events. And the more you think about it, is that let's just take each day as it comes. Let's not rush into anything. Let's make sure we find the right dates, and let's get back stronger than ever. Let's not rush a set of dates where, for instance, you've got the World Pool Masters, you've got 24 players, international players coming to Gibraltar. It's not just the Gibraltar making sure you can host an event there. We have to make sure that we can get all of those 24 players there and back. So it is tough juggling the calendars, and it is really tough rescheduling it all. But we're getting on with it, and we feel that we're doing the best for everyone involved. Every decision we make isn't rushed. It's very carefully thought out, and it's for the best of Matchroom Pool and for the pool community.
Like you say, there's so much to think about. On Off the Rail, we've already spoken to Jeremy Jones and Karl Boyes, and they're both talking about the selection processes for the Moscone Cup. Of course, there's no ranking events taking place at the moment either.
No ranking events, but I'm very confident about how we're choosing the Moscone Cup players. The selection process that was both discussed with both team captains, Jeremy Jones and Alex Laley, as well as Joey Gray and Karl Boyes, we all came to a very much a mutual understanding and a mutual agreement as to how things should go. We obviously don't want to completely dismiss the rankings, but the captains have a team. The captains want to win, and they want their A team coming out. So, you know, it's not a case of whatever Matchroom wildcards we want to put out, because it's not like that anymore. So I'm very confident that the players and the captains are happy with how we're moving forward with the selection process, and we will be announcing that very soon, because there's no point hiding it to anyone. The only reason why we've waited this long is we just wanted to ensure that we've made the right decision. So like I said, no rush, but we're going to just make sure that everyone knows what the situation is, what the players will know as well. But the good thing that's really happening in this situation is that communication amongst the captains. I've never once been so involved with the captains before and the communication is very, very good, and everyone's talking amongst each other, even in a situation like this. So I'm very, very confident that the players are going to be happy for this year, despite how things are going. The Mosconi Cup is going to happen. You know, it's December. We're still planning for 3,000 seats. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. We're still having a 1 week prior of promotional activity, press conferences, head to head, like a fight week. We're not pulling back on anything like that. It's going to be exactly like you imagine for the Mosconi Cup. So we're still planning for full steam ahead.
Yeah, it's been a really difficult year, but something really exciting to look forward to at the end of it. A big Mosconi Cup, always a great end to the pool year, but especially this year, and hopefully some big events before it as well. So we've got a nice autumn-winter schedule. But in the meantime, this summer, a few new projects from Matchroom as well.
Yes, you know, it's great that we've got the reruns showing of the Mosconi Cup that we had, and the viewership that we got was just absolutely phenomenal. The US Open, there's some absolute classics coming back, and I'm sorry, Nick, I can't remember. I think it was the final of the World Cup pool when we were in Shanghai with China B.
The semi-final, China B.
Okay, semi-final. That's fine. I can't know everything. That's why you're better at me than that. But that was just, so watching that, and you're just like, oh my God, we were in Shanghai, May? So a couple of years back, we were in this venue where it was so hot, and we got locked in the venue one night, and it's just like absolute madness that you're thinking back to things like that. But the match was brilliant, and so all the reruns are fantastic on our social media channels and on YouTube. But now it's time to think a little bit outside the box. It's kind of been trialled a little bit at Matchroom with our darts at home that the PDC are doing. Obviously, it's very difficult for players in pool to play one another when you're isolated at home. Very easy for darts. So what we tried to do is we tried to mimic it as best as possible for pool, creating a format that is both entertaining but also competitive. And that's why it's taken a little bit of time. We haven't wanted to rush into something that is kind of a bit naff. There's a lot of live matches going on at the moment on social media, which is great. The public are seeing that, but they're not that entertaining. I'm sorry, I'm a casual sports fan. I can't tune into that because it's just not that entertaining. So we've got to find something just a bit more interesting. So we're going to be looking at a pool at home thing. And then we've also looking at, so I've got it stuck in my head in the UK, it's called Loose Women. And basically it's these bunch of birds sitting on this talk show, and they're all talking amongst each other, and it's obviously they have topics for each day as such. So we're going to come up with Loose Pool, which is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a podcast hosted by yours truly, Nick Till. And then we're going to have Joey Gray and Karl Boyes. And then I think you've just thrown me on there just to basically, just to talk about Matchroom stuff or something, or you just couldn't think of another person or to cut budgets. But it's great because, you know, we always speak to Alex Laley and Jeremy Jones, but let's hear from the vice captains. They're a bit younger, they're a bit more fresh and current. And I don't know, do they like each other, them two, or do they have like a bit of rivalry? I don't know, you know, so this is going to be a little talk show, a new podcast called Loose Pool. Everyone tune in. It's, you know, we're starting it here in isolation. If it works, then great, we're going to keep it up every week. Well, let's do an episode every week. Let's do a proper podcast. So we're going to have a guest on every time. And I'd like to see Skylar Woodward coming on because we need to hear all about his new baby and how that's happened. But on another note, congratulations to him and Ashley on their baby. So I'm excited to see some more Daxton pictures. But yeah, so we've been trying to sit and think outside the box and be a bit creative. We don't know how long we're going to be stuck in isolation for. It's been like 5 weeks for us. It's probably the most work that we've done in a long time. I think people just think there's no events going on, so we're just sitting back watching Tiger King the whole night. But obviously I have watched the whole of Tiger King. But it's actually quite difficult because you have to really now think about all of the rescheduling and how you're going to plan these new events, and also what we're doing now, trying to be creative. So I hope all the pool fans have been enjoying, you know, the stuff that's been on social media, and I'm sure they have been. It's definitely sort of tough times at the moment, but it's just trying to keep the atmosphere light and happy and positive, and that's the aim.
And that's hopefully what we're doing. Loose Pool will be available on all podcast providers very soon, so keep your eye out for that. Emily, thanks for joining us. Stay safe. I'm sure we'll see you again soon. But for April's Off the Rail, that's all. Goodbye.